Someone cue the sad music because Aitx Discord is no more. So long, rest in rest in peace, sweet douchebag. No, but seriously, someone cue the sad music. All right, guys, Aitx here. We did get some news. I want to go over news. I also want to go over something very important that crossed my mind recently. I was thinking about the fact that I was looking at KSCP's share structure, and then it crossed my mind like, wait a minute, Aitx has such a bloated share structure, right? So what's going to happen to Aitx once they uplist? Will the share structure still be bloated? Because this is finished, is what I'm trying to say. I'm like, let me pull up Chat GPT here, and I'm going to ask her some questions because I don't know how. Would the share structure still be bloated if Aitx does when Aitx uplist? Is the share structure still going to be bloated? Because if that's the case, this is gonna be, it's gonna uplist, and it's still gonna have the same problem, which is it can't really go much of anywhere unless it gets enormous, and I mean enormous amounts of volume, just to get going, just to move like a 50 cents or $1 or whatever the equivalent would be. Upon being uplisted, I don't know what I don't know. That's why I'm asking ChatGPT right now. If Aitx has a share structure, let's say it's probably going to be at 25 billion. If we're being honest, of 25 billion, that's a lot. Just writing 25 billion, 25 billion outstanding shares, and they reverse split to Nasdaq. At its current price, because they would have to reverse split from where it's at right now, unless they do a reverse merger, I guess. At its current price of 0014, to meet minimum requirements. I don't use Google anymore. I stopped using it. To meet, this is the future right here, ChatGPT and all the other ones. To meet minimum requirements, how much of a reverse split would I have to do? What's the ratio? Yeah, how much of a reverse... Oops, I misspelled it. Reverse split ratio. And would the share structure still be bloated? Bloated. What did he eat? Feeding Aitx feeling a little gassy, I guess. I don't know. Let's see. $1. Wait, that's the minimum bid price requirement. $1 per share. Current price 0014. Minimum required price. So they would have to how much reverse split ratio needed? They would have to do what? Wow, that is insane. You guys seeing that number? Are you guys seeing that number? If they reverse split, because we know this isn't going to go to $1, and like it's not going to go anywhere at this point with that bloated share structure. They have to start buying back shares, and we know that's not going to happen. They can barely, yeah, that's not. We know that's not going to happen. So this is going to be stuck down here at double zeros, and if they're unlucky at triple zeros. So if for some reason it stays at 0014 for the next couple of years, and then they uplist. You can see right here, 714, that is insane. 714? Yeah, it would have to do at least a 14715, but they're probably going to have to do more than that. Because what's the point of going to $1? If you hit the minimum exactly, and it tanks, you're going to have to keep reverse. No, so they would reverse split even more than this. They would want a reverse split to be at like $5 to give it some breathing room to the downside more than anything. It would be foolish for them to reverse split to exactly $1, the minimum requirement, and then it just tanks. It would just keep reverse splitting to stay on the higher. It would just get destroyed. So it's not gonna. That would be stupid. Either way, even if the minimum is 715, 1 for 715 reverse split. What's the new share count post-split? Post-split shares, what? So after the split, would have 35 million outstanding shares, assuming no dilution immediately after? 35 million? Is that how it works? Really? It becomes a low floater? Because that's the implication here. Yeah, it's implied that it's a low float at that point, if it's at 35 million. Because I know some stocks who have 35 million outstanding shares, and it doesn't take much for them to get going. But keep in mind that if you're holding, okay, let me see, let me just continue here. This is fun. I started using ChatGPT way more now. It helps me with even my eating habits. Like, hey ChatGPT, what should I eat? And they're like, make a sandwich, you bitch. Oh, I hope no children were watching. Anyways, is the share structure still bloated? It's not. Yeah, it's not bloated. Uh. Okay, then I wanted to ask, what question did I want to ask ChatGPT? You know, I should just talk to ChatGPT, right? It can hear my voice, and you guys can hear it talk, maybe? I don't remember. I haven't used it. If it does have voice, yeah, it does have voice enabled. Yeah, you can, okay. Anyways, no, what was I going to talk about? I was going to ask it if I hold, let's say, I guess if I hold I don't know, does someone hold 1 billion shares in their account? If I hold 1 billion shares of AITX, which is what, 1/20th of the float? That's quite a bit of shares. If I hold 1 billion shares of AITX, how many would I have post split? 1.4 million shares. So you're a millionaire and you're for some reason putting your money into AITX. That's just silly. That would be weird if someone does hold 1 billion. Because you should just put your money elsewhere at that point. But let's do something more realistic. Let's say 10 million. I think 10 million is more realistic. Oops, 10 million. Yeah, actually, what am I saying? What about 10 million? I like that I can do the math without doing the math. You know, we're getting lazier and lazier. I'm not pulling out my phone to order food. I just talk to the voice, and the voice orders it for me. Okay, so you'd end up with 13,986 shares at $1. So there's people that definitely have like 50 million shares, for sure. So let me ask ChatGPT this. So wouldn't it become a low float stock, right? Wouldn't it be a low float stock, and thus can move much easier up or down? See, that's the problem. Up or down on not much volume. Yeah, see, that's something I just realized. If it's a low flow, then it also means it can drop real fast to the downside. If that makes sense, right? If it's a low flow and it can quickly move dollars, it can also quickly drop dollars. So there's still that. So it's not like, it's not all flowers and rainbows and sunshines. Sunshines? Yeah, see, price can move up rapidly on small buying volume, great for momentum traders. Low float stocks are often targeted, but yeah, I love low float stocks, don't get me wrong. And price can crash just as fast on selling. So what does this mean? What does this mean for you if you're a long-term holder? Is it uplisting like this, assuming it does do an uplist via reverse split and a reverse merger or any other method? If it does reverse split to uplist, not only would the number have to be enormous, like minimum 700, but if it becomes a low float stock, then it's gonna become a stock that it's still gonna continue to be a stock that gets flipped essentially. It's already doing that. It's been doing that. It's just a stock that gets flipped and it goes lower, right? It has those spikes on hype, then it comes down lower because it gets flipped. The longs, they're not flipping when it spikes up 500%. That's not what they're there for. They're there for the Palantir, buying Palantir at $5 and it goes to 125. They're there for the 2000x, right? They're there for the big bucks. They're there for the 5000x. So longs don't flip when they see it up 500%. They just continue to hold because they genuinely believe in it, right? So they get destroyed. Man, I didn't think about that until now. If it becomes a low float stock, I mean, if you're a trader, that's I mean, thank you for making it a low floater. We're just gonna keep abusing the fact that it pumps every now and then, and it spikes up, a couple of dollars because of the low float, and the longs they just get destroyed inevitably. It just continues to rinse and repeat the pattern that it's already been repeating for years, is what I'm trying to say. So you know what's interesting though is this is true. It would be a low float Nasdaq stocks post split, which means if they're smart, if the company over there, if Aitx Steve Reinhardt is smart, technically speaking, he could drop some big, like the post split happens, and then they drop some big news, and then that could send it a couple hundred percentages. That would be smart. Well, if you want to give longs a chance at getting out, I guess the ones that want to get out, because there's longs that I don't know if you can call them longs at that point, but there's definitely longs who just want to get out, who bought at like 20 cents, 25 cents, and above, and they just average down even more and more as it kept going lower. So, yeah, this is a longer video than I expected because we're doing some analysis here on what could potentially happen in the future if they do a reverse split. If they don't do that, then all of this is negated. Obviously, this doesn't mean anything at that point. But it would just become a trader's paradise. It would just continue to do what it does now. Hype comes around, it pumps huge because of the low flow, and then it just comes down. So the traders end up winning. The longs don't end up. They kind of just end up screwed. I think I've seen this before as well with was it Aitx? I think Aitx did a. I think no. One of its subsidiaries did a reverse merger into a low floater. I believe was it H2OO. Yeah, I think it was this one. And then anytime it gets news, it goes from like 38 cents and spikes to 80 cents right here, and then here from 36 to 75. So it has these, big volatile swings up and down, and it's just a pump and dump, really. So it doesn't matter that QIND, not reverse split, QIND reverse merged into H2OO. At the end of the day, it's still a trader's paradise, right? And it still continues to do the AITX pattern, which is it has its pumps, but it just continues to go lower. So that just comes to show you that uplisting isn't, it's not the end all be all. It's not what you think it is. It's not, oh my God, it's going to be rainbows and sunshine. No. It looks to me, if I had to make a prediction based off of not just what happened with QIND reverse merging into H2OO, and also what's happening with Aitx, if I had to make a prediction, if I'm being honest with you, it looks like most penny stocks, if not almost all of them, like maybe 99.9% of them are just I'm not going to call them a scam, more like they're just a trader's dream because of the ability to make quick profits on the volatility. But even if they uplist, and I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a lot of stocks that when they reverse split, sometimes after the reverse split, they pump like 10, 20 bucks, $5 sometimes. They have like a post-split pump because it doesn't take much for it to get moving. I don't know if you guys know about those plays where the reverse split happens, and on the day of the reverse split, it pumps huge. But that's like the only thing. That's the only like quote unquote saving grace for AITX is that maybe upon uplist, if they do a reverse split, it gets a nice big pump, and hopefully you can get out. For those of you who bought down there at 003s, 002s, I'm talking about you. The people who have been buying since like 25 cents, 30 cents, it would have to make an enormous, I'm talking thousands of pounds, thousands of percentages in moves to even get you out. So this is more so for the people sitting at 002s, 003s, who have their average down there. But, I'm looking at all the data here. I'm just looking at data here. I'm not, reading a news article or anything. This is just pure good old data and some math from ChatGPT, which it might be wrong. I don't know. Seems accurate. That's my prediction for AITX for 2030. It's not looking good. We'll see if anything changes. But nothing has changed in 5 years. So if 5 years have gone by and nothing has changed, we shouldn't assume that anything's going to change in the next five, right? Because we look at patterns, we look at the data, and we assume that it continues to occur. That pattern continues to play out until it doesn't. But until it doesn't, there's no reason to be bullish at all. That, if that makes sense. That's just me, right? You guys know me. I trade like a machine, right? I don't care if so and so thinks it's gonna go to the moon. I don't care if the other person thinks it's gonna go to zero. I don't care about those extremes. I care about what the data says. If I was on the more extreme side of either direction, then I'd be overly bullish, right? This video would be about me going, "Oh my God, guys, AITX, woo, to the moon, guys." Or I would be on the other side. This is trash. It's garbage. I'm not in either direction. I'm just kind of how would I say this? I just look at the data and make my decision off that, and I think it's not looking good. But let's see if they can turn it around. But it's still not a good look. I'll leave it at that. Is this a buy? No, it's not.